Think of a moment in time, a defining moment in your life. A defining moment in your life, maybe you had an epiphany, an aha, where that something happened that changed the trajectory of your life. Hey, this is Blair. I train trainers, as you know, all over the world and some of the best in the world. And what has come up for me is I'm just really tired of shallow leaders and shallow teachers. You know what I'm saying? And so what I mean by that is a lot of people are really good at selling things, but they're not really good at giving the depth and inspiration that could go with it. For every task a person's going to take on, there's two parts. There's the physical part, and then there's the mental, emotional piece that you got to prepare yourself, dig deep to give it some value. So here's what I'm going to have you think about. Think of a moment in time, a defining moment in your life. A defining moment in your life, maybe you had an epiphany, an aha, where that something happened that changed the trajectory of your life. Now think about it, I'll say it again. A time in your life when an occurrence due to an experience, could have been maybe sitting in a seminar, could have been a tragedy, could have been a big win, could have been something you were struggling with, doesn't matter. A time when you came to the aha that changed the course of your life. I'll give you an example. I took a personal development course many years ago, back in the early 1980s, before some of you were born. And in the middle of that program, some of you have heard me say this before, is I came to the stunning realization that there was one thing in common with the money I'd made and the money I'd lost, and the things that had worked and not worked in my life, and that was me, which seems obvious, but at that moment in time, what the big lesson, and whatever your lesson was, is that I had to be personally responsible. I was responsible for everything in my life. Before that, I was kind of a victim of circumstances. If I was lucky, things were good. If I was unlucky, things were bad. So I was a victim of circumstances. But when I got it, that I was responsible, everything after that changed. The whole course of my life changed as a result of that point. So what I began to do is I began experimenting that with my life, trying to take more responsibility. And it worked. I got better in sales. I got better in life. My relationships started to improve. And as I started to teach, I started teaching this lesson of personal responsibility. And I found out that it worked with other people in my immediate area, and they started to improve. And then I said, well, wow, what if I started teaching other people this, particularly in the area of business? So I taught it in sales development. So all these years later, now that's not the only one, but that was a defining moment. So I'm going to ask you, was there a defining moment in your life, your adult life, your child life, and maybe even more than one, where due to a win of some sort, or maybe even a loss or a struggle of some sort, it was a defining moment to change the trajectory of your life for the positive, not for the negative, but for the positive. So for you it was a struggle moment, type in struggle. If for you it was a win, write in win, because it could have been that. It could have been that you realized you had success in your business and it was really good, and you had the aha that other people could benefit from that, and you wanted to elevate what you were doing. So I'm just really interested to know where it is for you. And what I'm going to say is that if you want to be a deep leader, a deep teacher or leader, then speak from that experience. Don't speak from how to sell it. I mean, you got to know how to sell. Don't get me wrong. But my challenge to you is, are you a deep leader or are you a deep teacher? Or a shallow teacher and leader? And it goes back to that defining moment. If you can have that defining moment, that's step one. Step two, once you define it, define what it was like before and what it was like after. What your truths were, what you held to be true as your beliefs before, or the myths that held you there, and what the truth was afterwards. Because somewhere in there, in your DNA, is your message to deliver to the world. And if you can't think of one, there's hope. Then you go out and gain some experience, put yourself on a firing line until you have a defining moment like that, a win or a struggle or whatever it might be. But I'll bet you that you have one, Because if you're watching this, you're a teacher and you're a leader. I've told you this many, many times. And the reason you are is because there was some place in your life that shifted. That shifted the trajectory of your life forever. And if you can get to that moment, you'll find that that scenario is replicated before that and is replicated after that, and it's changed the trajectory of your life. And it's worked for you, it may work for some others. And if it works for some others, it may work for even more others. So be an awesome, deep teacher and leader. I love you guys tons, and we'll talk to you soon. Until I see you next time, be awesome.